Many people buy Valentine's Day gifts for their pets, me included, but there are also some dangers lurking around the house during Valentine's Day that pet owners really need to be aware of. We have Dr. Juliana Lee from the Village Vet joining us to talk about those dangers. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks.
And a lot of times when we hear, something dangerous to dog, we think chocolate. And yes, that is, of course, the case again.
Yes, chocolate is definitely toxic to dogs. Chocolate has a substance in it called theobromine, which is derived from caffeine. And a small dog, a 10-pound dog, eating 1.5 ounces of chocolate is like a person drinking about 8 cups of coffee all at once.
And I told you personally, my dog got into my work bag yesterday, ate half a candy bar. She's an 18-pound Jack Russell.
Yeah.
And you said that was kind of right on the edge of where it could be dangerous. She's okay.
You might see some vomiting or diarrhea from that level of chocolate. But if she'd eaten twice that much, then she could be having heart arrhythmias, could be having seizures, can even progress to death.
In my situation, I didn't know she had eaten it until I found the wrapper a couple of hours later. What should owners be looking for? We get those hearts full of chocolates. If we don't realize our dogs have gotten to it, what are signs to look for?
Well, certainly if it's happened within 2 hours, you need to call your vet immediately, and usually they will give you advice on inducing vomiting in your dog. And we should always have hydrogen peroxide in the house because that's the most common household item that can be used for that purpose. If it's been more than 2 hours, then you really need to get your dog checked out right away at the veterinarian because they may be having heart palpitations.
And you wouldn't know. Can you see those things? Do they start panting or any
Well,
other signs?
sometimes you can see agitation and seizures and tremors, but sometimes it's just that the heart rate is beating very fast and that it's very irregular. And it can last for up to 3 days for that chocolate to get out of their system.
And you told me there's kind of variations of degrees too based on what kind of chocolate. Dark chocolate is worse. Why is that?
Yeah, because it's a higher concentration of the cocoa bean. So milk chocolate, dark chocolate, it would take about half the amount as milk chocolate. And baker's chocolate, for all the people that love baking goodies for Valentine's, it only takes about 1/10 the amount. Really just 1/4 ounce of baker's chocolate can cause a 10-pound dog to get very sick.
And we have to be so careful with them. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I had a lot of them. I know you guys have some questions too, whether it be about this, maybe flowers around the house. We can answer some of those questions. Dr. Lee will be answering those questions, anything you have about your own pet in the next half hour. If you've got a question, post a comment on our Facebook page and we'll try and get to as many as we can. We'll see you in a little bit. Dr. Juliana Lee from the Village Vet is back with us now. She is taking any questions you have about your own pet. You can call us right now at 410-481-4545. But we also posted on our Facebook page this morning. So you ready to answer a question?
I am.
All right, here we go. Let's take a look at our Facebook page. We have our first question here. We're going to go ahead and scroll through to Christine. And she says, what is a safe amount of hydrogen peroxide to give to your dog to induce vomiting if you are certain he ingested a large amount of chocolate? And this goes to what we were talking about. You said this is actually a good thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. You should have 3% hydrogen peroxide on hand. You should definitely have a syringe or something like that you can measure it out with. You would usually want to give about 1 teaspoon per 5 pounds of body weight to a dog. You don't really want to give it to a cat. If you have a cat that's ingested something, you should definitely call your vet and likely take your cat there because it's not quite as safe. But for dogs, you can give 1 teaspoon per 5 pounds of body weight of the 3% peroxide, not the kind of peroxide people use for hair dyeing purposes. It has to be the wound care peroxide.
Why is it different for cats?
Well, cats, they can have a little bit higher risk of aspirating when they vomit. They're much less likely to actually ingest chocolate, and so you're not as likely to need it. Usually they'll show signs of clinical problems from eating things many hours after they've eaten it. So inducing vomiting is not necessarily the right thing.
Well, we talked about chocolate. The other question that we've seen come up is flowers. Sometimes you hear around Christmas time that poinsettias can be toxic. What is the truth when it comes to dogs eating flowers?
Well, dogs, it's not as much of a big deal, but for cat owners out there, lilies are highly toxic to cats. Every part of a lily plant, and a lot of people in the spring, sometimes in flower bouquets, certainly around Easter time, get lilies. Outdoor lilies start to grow as well, and just 2 leaves or 2 petals from a lily plant can be enough to kill a cat.
I had no idea.
Cause kidney failure.
And if you do know that they ingested, some sunflower petals, do they come to the vet right away? What's the first thing you do?
They should definitely get on IV fluids because we need to try to flush the kidneys to keep crystals from forming and so forth.
Wow, great advice. Thank you so much. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you very much.